I want copies of what everybody's responses are in addition to Megan. Okay, so what I did for this, and this is the kind of challenge I love. Thank you so much for the writing prompt of this. It was really awesome. So what I did for this piece is kind of Warholian in terms of like taking what was already there and then kind of putting my own language in it. So some of this is from Megan's piece, kind of tweaked. Some of it's from Wikipedia, and then my own kind of stuff with Andy and with my love of a certain good machine. So this is Love of Good Machines. The most interesting thing about your placid neon face is the mystery of what is going on underneath it. The wheels aren't moving, but there is a distinctive hum of vibration. It's like the sonic thump of the bass against sternum at a stadium show. We cannot relax. People mistake this for anxiety, and we pretend that this is the case so that they will leave us alone. We work a lot. We work all the time. We have real anxiety when we cannot work. My amplifier wants on, wants buzz, wants electricity. Your shock of hair, a softness of thread, betraying the strength of hemlines. If you were pulled from Max's Kansas City, the sweater of knitting factories would have unraveled before their time. They don't make time like they used to, Andy. Time is not allowed to waft. Fame is not allowed to be a zephyr as you once were and could be. It is now the gaudy neon you affected, over and over and over and over again and over yellow-blue Marylands. Marylands are too fat for today's time. You held the scene together like a bottom line, a base theory, a deceptive low end. We love now like the insides of instruments, hollow chambers to increase the resonance or reduce the weight, entirely hollow bodies changing the tone and resonance. You were deceptively light and ephemeral, deceptively voyeur. Even your repetitions were deceptive. Andy, you were the lurker of instruments that hold everything together. Bass guitar, you were the thrum of repetition and vibration underneath all the music, and stardom in the fabric around you from 60s to 70s. You kept faithful time while being sideways, off-center and the-center, propelling forward, outward, and your body, your mysterious androgynous body, soft yet wooden in all the stardust, all that glamour light to your wispy wings, you moth body, moth neck, mouth open, mouth ajar, eyes staring, a mask, stiffened. Base bodies are typically made of wood. A wide variety of woods are suitable for use in the body. The neck, body is alder, the neck, maple, the fretboard can be rosewood. Somehow you were a rigor mortis of desire, a kind of stuck orgasm human in your woody mask face. Wood the warmest, most chosen for human-sounding instruments, from violins to electrified machines. Following Fender's lead, Gibson released the violin-shaped electric bass with extendable end pin in 1953, allowing it to be played upright or horizontally. Gibson renamed the electric bass in 1958 as the EB1. The EB1 was reissued around 1970, but this time without the end pin. Also in 1958, Gibson released the maple archtop EB2, described in the Gibson catalog as a hollow body, electric bass that features a bass baritone push button for two different tonal characteristics. Andy, you were like hollow body electric bass. They had you wrong and miscast when they called you superficial surface, a pansy party goer. Your critics didn't know the joke, the Baroque complexity of artifice. The use of artificial materials allows for unique production techniques, such as die casting, to produce complex body shapes. You appreciated the elevation of the commonplace mundane into accessible art, like how stand-up bass became electric. The Fender bass was a revolutionary new instrument. You were a revolutionary new instrument. One that could be easily played, could be easily transported to a gig, could be amplified at just about any volume without feeding back. Fender also began production of the Mustang bass, a 30-inch scale-length instrument. The 50s and 60s, the instrument was often called the Fender bass, due to Fender's early dominance in the market. Oh, the market, Fender, a soup can of instrument production. You worked at replication, access, production, unleashing simple design into something complex. Base design options include finishes, such as lacquer, wax and oil, flat and carved designs. Luthier produced custom designed instruments, like headless basses, which have tuning machines to the bridge of the instrument, e.g. the Steinberger and Hohner designs, and several artificial materials. You used artificial materials. You used acrylic silkscreen icons, taking the familiar and warping with an electricity of color. The bass guitarist fulfills a similar role. You fulfilled this role, an anchoring. You were an anchor. You laid down the beat. The true measure of a bass is not the appearance, the body. It doesn't produce and avoid. Rather, consider the work of the machinery. The chords do not move as much as vibrate. The strings remain tethered in one place, repeating, vibrating beat, circulating sound around itself as it propels all the waves in front and down the road and off the cliff of stage light. People clamored as hands, as bodies, as the instrument as you played, primarily with the fingers or the thumb, either by plucking, slapping, popping, tapping, or thumping to the rhythm of your gatherings, your parties, your sounds of images and faces. Andy, deceptive tribal shaman of noise, quiet-centered self, sexual, asexual voyeur, shuddering. Perhaps the most awe-inspiring thing about you, about a bass guitar, is that what it is doing on the outside does not precisely correspond to what it is doing on the inside. You absorb to create, periphery, and center, life with blemish highlighted as art form. The 4-string bass, by far the most common, is usually tuned to the same as a double bass, which corresponds to pitches 1 octave lower and the 4 lower strings of guitar, E, A, D, and G. The bass guitar is a transposing instrument. You are a transposing instrument. As it is noted, classic bass clef, an octave higher than it sounds. You are always an octave higher than you sounded. As is the double bass to avoid excessive ledger lines. Like electric guitar, the electric bass guitar is plugged into an amplifier and a speaker for live performances. You were like an amplifier and a speaker for live performances, with electric shock and heroin-addicted hero faces, with deep layers, all the lovely, unimaginable appetites you wish to peel slowly and see. I wonder about what you traded, if it was fair, or if it should have been fair, ready to explode. You patched noise with the exploding plastic inevitable in transit. Music, image, repetition, reproduction, pushing all art to pop forward, like the visual difference that set the jazz bass apart from the precision in its offset waist body. Pickup shapes on electric basses are often referred to as P or J pickups in reference to the visual and electrical differences between precision bass and jazz bass pickups. Andy, you were like pickups. We're a bass guitar, a pickup, a gigolo, and a rock band. Your evidence, all tomorrow's parties, the first and only Velvet Underground album you produced, the 13th greatest album of all time, according to Rolling Stone magazine. Is it your favorite? Is it your favorite because it revolved around you? Everybody knew Nico couldn't sing, but you got your way. You had all those parties. You were parties of rock show, the life force of a scene, a time, and now, like matter, you cannot be created or destroyed, only shifted, just as a bass sound moves forward, always, it speeds ever onward.
Wow.